Hello and welcome to Outlaw Bookseller with me, Stephen E. Andrews, author of 100 must-read fantasy novels, 100 must-read science fiction novels, other stuff like that. I thought it was time for another video in the 100 must-read fantasy novels series, as I haven't done one for a while, and I'm aware there are some new fantasy subscribers to the channel. Hi there guys, hope you're enjoying things. And I've subtitled this video, The Strangest Fantasy Novel I've Ever Read. Well, that's quite a challenge, and whether it is, I'm not certain, but it's certainly one of the strangest. And to me, it fulfills really what fantasy should aim to do, which is to render the inexplicable in a fascinating and original and truly imaginative way. And the book I'm going to talk about today is The Green Child by Sir Herbert. There is a 12th century legend from southern England which never fails to fascinate me, or indeed anybody who hears of it. There are at least two variations on the story, which itself tells of two mysterious green-skinned children who one day emerged from a fissure in the ground, and they went on to perplex the local populace. The children were confused and confounding, but were adopted by a local knight. The boy child soon expired, but the girl survived, apparently learned English, and claimed to come from a subterranean realm of perpetual twilight. The book was published in 1935 and was written by Sir Herbert, who was an art critic, a very famous one. He was a champion of modernism and of radical left-wing politics, and he adopted this myth for his only novel, and he shifted the action to the modern world. Reed was born in 1893 and died in 1968. This is the late 1980s Robin Clark edition of The Green Child. I used to have a Penguin Modern Classic with a cover by Max Ernst. As you see, the cover of this one is by Joan Miró, so you notice the association with modern art and with surrealism and the fantastic in particular. In the novel, Reed tells us of the protagonist, Olivero, who leaves his rustic village birthplace in England to become a major figure in Latin American revolutionary circles. After spending 30 years on statecraft, dictatorship and warfare, Olivero returns home to England to discover that a green child who appeared in his birthplace on the day that he left for the New World still survives. The green child resides with the taciturn mill owner Nishaw, a dreadful character. Olivero is appalled by Nishaw's apparent cruelty towards the mermaid-like maiden, and he liberates her. Then the green child, vacant and becalmed, rewards Olivero by leading him underground into her strange crystalline homeland, where the answer to her unknown origin may or may not be revealed. This was Reed's only novel. He wrote many other books about art. As I say, he was a critic, lots of essays, what have you, and that's what he's better known for. But really, The Green Child is one of the most original, arresting and bewildering books ever written, in my view. It's sort of languid and non-sensational in its style, but the sections of the book that focus on the green child are bewitching. And if anything, the only sort of thing I've read which is similar, there's a book called The Ice Palace by Tajay Vassas, which has a kind of similar feel. And to a degree, some of Anna Kavan's writings have a similarity, and maybe, possibly, Ghost of Chance by William Burroughs. There's a sort of underground, pellucid, green, watery feel about these things, which is similar. And as I say, those bits are bewitching, but the lengthy middle section concentrates pragmatically on the philosophical and political aspects of Olivero's career and statesmanship, which is just really strange juxtaposition of two things. And this combination of really blunt realpolitik and outright fantasy makes The Green Child an unforgettable read. In some ways reminiscent of Latin American magical realism of the 70s and 80s, of surrealism and utopian ideology, it's simultaneously colourful and flat, but it's a unique book that provides a lifetime's worth of puzzlement for the reader who enjoys both interpreting metaphors and being pleasantly baffled. Robin Clark is a defunct imprint, I believe, and I think at one point they merged with Quartet. This wasn't my first copy. As I say, there was a Penguin Modern Classic which I had, which I don't seem to have anymore, which was beautiful. It looked like a mini J.G. Ballard book because it had an Ernst cover as opposed to a Miro one. And it goes in and out of print. I think it's out of print at the moment. I will check, and if it is available, I'll put a title here now. But it's worth checking out. There was a Capuchin Classics edition about 10-12 years ago, and it's a real cult book. I mean, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if in the comments loads of people have never heard of it. Some people will say they have, but it is really quite obscure, but it's absolutely fascinating. So I hope you enjoyed that. Do seek it out. You can look on YouTube and on Wikipedia. You'll find the details about the actual legends, which are fascinating. I've never been to that part of England, and I've not explored that part thoroughly, but you read both accounts and it's just really, really interesting. So this is Outlaw Bookseller. Hope you enjoyed that. Check out The Green Child. It will open your mind up, and it's a fantastic original book, not like anything else I've read. And we'll have more 100 must-read fantasy novels soon. Bye for now. This is the Sanctuary in Avebury, which, like all these things, makes me think of Keith Roberts, the Chalk Giants. Now there are just sort of stone markers here, and there were lots of posts and things here 2,500 years ago. And it's just across from the Ridgeway and connected to Silbury and Avebury. The whole thing around here is connected. You can read up on it. I'm not an archaeologist. But there was, around about 2,000 years ago, there was a teenage boy buried here. And analysis of his DNA and the enamel in his teeth revealed that he wasn't from this neck of the woods. He could have been from France, Scotland. He wasn't from around here. But he was buried here with the Beaker people, and they called the Neolithics at that stage. Well, these things are usually burial mounds, aren't they? It's just they haven't all been excavated.